All right, back to racing after about a month off. This is Inagi Cross in Tokyo, up the Tamagawa River. So pretty big group, about 55 people started today, and I am in the 5th or 6th row, so pretty far back with number 34. So you can see on the map down in the bottom right, the course map, there's this really long straightaway before the backside is really technical and full of turns. So this was a bit of a fight off the starting line for position. I just wasn't confident enough making my way up past more people here. You've got guys like that off on the right, not really paying attention, so bit of a risk to try to go up farther, but definitely a huge advantage to get ahead of as many people as possible before this back technical section. So I guess my position probably didn't change that much. Worst case would have been to lose more positions. I figured I'd have to make do with this. Hopefully there wouldn't be too much stopping, sort of start or stop and go sort of turns here that would let the first, I don't know, 10, 20 people or so slip out ahead even more. But it's a decent pace so far. Definitely sort of a single track, single file sort of course here. So I guess we just caught a glimpse of the 10 or 15 people behind us that were all pretty spread out, and then up ahead you can see there are 5 or so. There's another, not quite the lead group, I don't think. Well, it might, yeah, I guess this might be the leaders all the way up there. But they're already a few turns ahead of us. And it's really just this sort of spread out, single file. Very few opportunities to pass. So I think my general strategy in mind was to go as hard as possible on that long straightaway and then just use this technical section to sort of recover. Almost slipped out there. The course actually was not that bad. It rained overnight, but it really was not muddy at all. Some slick turns here and there, but really not bad. I had the Challenge Baby Linus tires on, which handled things just fine. Did see a couple of falls like that one right there. Not a ton, but it was just slick enough where maybe the wrong tire choice or coming in with too much speed would just cause you to lose traction and slip out. So it opened up a little bit here, but with it coming single file out of those turns, it's so hard to be in a position to take advantage of those little straightaways. So not making up any ground, but still putting an effort to make sure that someone doesn't come around me from behind. So it looks like we're just a few turns away from coming back to the, I guess sort of, I'll call it the front side of the course. So one tight U-turn here, and maybe one last loop. Yeah, so coming out here, this opens up to a straightaway before the double barriers, or the chicane is it's called in Japanese. And then this was the same feature as last year, where it was so close to this these stairs. We saw people handling it differently. I noticed some people jump back onto the bike to sort of coast a little bit up to the stairs. Other people just wheel the bike. What I decided to do was to just shoulder my bike immediately after the double barriers and then run the whole way and not have to worry about hopping on and off or sort of awkwardly steering the bike around the 90-degree turn. This feature was new this year, this really sort of tight back and forth just before that final U-turn to the finish line that we just crossed. And back to the straightaway here that we started on. So there's really no chance at all to use any of this straightaway for a final sprint. So the last bit is really that straightaway to the double barriers, then the stairs, and then a really short straightaway before that tight back and forth turn, just before the U-turn before the finish line. So it looked like the position at the end of the race would be pretty much set coming out of the, well, a little ways before the finish line at least. Another fall. That actually looked like it might have been the same bike. I wonder if it was the same person who fell a second time and maybe not quite the same spot. Number 58 there, I think. Looks like he's going for the inside line. I saw a couple of people try that there. It looks like he was successful, but the inner part of one of the turns there had a bit of loose sort of reeds. Oh, it's the same guy. Looks like he just fell. Anyway, that turn had some loose reeds, and I saw a couple of people try but lose their footing, and they ended up getting slowed down and gave up any ground that they had gained by getting to the turn sooner. So I think he was telling me I was in 28th place and 29th right behind me. I think our group was combined with at least one or maybe two of the junior categories. So I don't think I've seen one of them catch up yet. I think they started a minute behind us. I know at least one of them did catch up. I just don't remember seeing him yet. May have been number 101. Managed the pass there. It's one of the few spots. A little bit of a straightaway. Yeah, there's 101. So he must be under, I don't know, under 17 or maybe under 15. I think I heard him calling out behind me that he was coming. And I didn't realize that he was a younger rider. And if someone just calls out behind me who's in the same race category as me, I'm not, you know, if we're all competing for the same spots, I'm not about to move over and make it easy for them to pass. But it's a different story if it's a race leader who's lapped the field. Maybe 2 or 3 of them are still, they're so far out ahead that we're just not competing with them. Or like this, it's a different category. Sure, he's got to deal with obstacles on the course, but we're not competing, so it's only fair that we sort of make a little space for him. So I'm pushing again here. I guess my power's dipping now. I had a bit of a spike at the start. Settled into sort of a rest here since I just couldn't keep up the effort. Though I guess I take that back. Maybe I was just gathering myself a little bit to make sure I had the energy to pass him. I guess the way I thought about it, that sort of front side straightaway was sort of the offensive section where you can really put in more power and just whoever's willing to go the hardest will pick up more positions. And then this back section is almost more of a defensive section where there's so little room to pass. As long as you, well, I say that and he just slipped by me. But it's much harder to pass and it doesn't require as much constant effort. So you can sort of use your positioning and your approach angles, I guess, to try to hold off people behind you. Didn't really seem to work there with 2 guys passing me. And I don't know how other people feel. I've had people sort of call out from behind that are in the same category and kind of expect me to move over and let them pass. And yeah, maybe that's how some people think the etiquette, I guess, should be in a race like this. But I just, I don't really see it that way. It's competition, and you sort of have to deal with the circumstances as they arrive. And if someone's riding defensively, that's a tactic for how to improve their own chances to win the race. And if someone's doing that in front of me, I just have to figure out how to best them. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. I wonder if you also, just going back to this same point, I wonder if you see more of that in the ME4 category, where there's a real wide range of ability levels. There are some people who are very strong riders, but just starting out, and they're really not at the same level as someone who is just really out here recreationally and doesn't train all that much, but is just having fun. So if you get stuck behind someone who's really not trying to compete at the same level, I'm sure it can be a little frustrating to have to sort of get around them as obstacles. But from this level up, I think anything's really fair game, as long as you're not sort of actively trying to hurt someone else. That's the same color bike that I saw on the ground twice in earlier laps. I don't know if it's the same rider. That could be. Looks like he's got number 55 on, so he came from a couple rows behind me, but he looks like he's riding at a pretty good speed, good pace. So there, the bike over the shoulder. That was sort of a sketchy turn there. It looked pretty slick. Didn't see anyone slip out on it, but everyone took it pretty cautiously, I think, not wanting to slip so close to the finish line. So let's see what I have here. Fourth lap. I think last lap I was more like 400 or 500 watts here. Remember my speed in other laps. I flew by. So steady, but definitely sort of a below threshold effort. So I think I'm probably around 35th or so here. I passed some people, but I've been passed by others. Some of the people that I passed early on caught back up. So I looked at the lap splits afterwards. I was pretty consistent today. I think my first 3 laps were almost identical, although the first one there was more congestion, so the opening straightaway might have been faster, but then this technical section might have been slower, with more people slowing things down. Actually, it does look like the 3rd lap was a little slower on the lap counter off to the right there, but according to the official data, it looks like it was a little closer. I think this 4th lap is going to end up being slightly slower. But we'll see what the lap counter says. The top 3 finishers, looks like every lap for them was probably less than 5 minutes and 50 seconds or so. And the fastest lap being more like 5 minutes and 40 seconds. So that's a good 20 to 30 seconds faster than my laps. So definitely another level of fitness that I can't match. I'd say up until about maybe 17th place or so, looking at the data, people had mostly sub 6-minute laps. And then from about that onward, you had laps more in the range of mine. I always have a bit of a heart rate spike when I run, and especially upstairs like that. But I've been running more consistently over the past year, maybe even 2 years, trying to build in at least a little bit of sort of stair climbs like that, or at least steep hills. So I think it helps. It's never going to be my strong area, but keeping the heart rate at 175, 176 is a whole lot better than having it spike up over 180. So I still had a little bit here. I was able to push it over 500 watts or so. Still getting past. Again, I figured that was the last good spot to really pick up any ground, any more positions. Might pass someone here or there. And the backside here. But probably not much change at this point. So it looks like lap 4 was actually slightly faster than lap 3. So I don't know what's going on, the difference between the lap counter there and the official data. But it's, I guess, all in the same ballpark, just a couple seconds, give or take. I can tell I was just looking for a place to pass him. I don't remember what happened, but I keep getting a little closer, just off his back wheel, and then having to back off a little bit. Here, maybe? Yeah. Looks like he relaxed, took his hand off the handlebar a little bit, and I was able to just slip by. And this is number 2 here at Old Tomo-san. He's been up towards the top of the rankings for ME3. Back when he was in ME4, we competed a bit towards the top of that group. I think his chain fell off in the first lap, so he lost 30 seconds at least. Sort of clawed his way back and passed me on that long straightaway, maybe earlier this lap. So I had him in my sights. I thought I might have a chance to catch him here. This is the last straightaway before the barriers. So let's see. Yeah, I had a little spike. Looked like maybe he was kind of resigned to mid-pack finish today. Let's see, race up the stairs. I got up first. Just hoping I could clip in smoothly and get back to this tight turn without any issues. That was fine. Last little slight surge into these last tight turns, and that's it really. So I could just roll across the line here. I think it was 32nd overall. So 32nd out of 55. I started 34th. You know, it's fine. It was a tough race. I did about as well as I think I could hope for. Definitely hoping to be able to do a little better, maybe somewhere in the 20s or so. But a lot of strong riders, a lot of people with really good fitness. So it's a tough battle. Hopefully I'll continue to get points in the rankings, the season rankings, and I might be able to get a better starting position in one of the future races and start out ahead of everyone else, get an advantage that way. But until then, keep chipping away. Try another one next week up in Inagi and see how that goes. Oh, not Inagi, in Ibaraki. And yeah, I guess that's it for this year, for 2025. So looking forward to 2026.